guys, welcome to the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. I'm your host, Victoria L. Johnson, and I'm here with Breana Williams. She's the production coordinator for the Proud Family Louder and Prouder and co-host of the Black and Animated organization and podcast that educates, informs, and inspires Black artists pursuing careers in animation. Hey, Breana, how are you?
Hello, howdy, good morning. Well, it's morning for me. Because I'm over in the west of the coast and it's hot over here. I don't know.
That sounds lovely.
I'm a ball of anxiety. See, I co-host a podcast and yet I'm still a very anxious human being.
I feel like podcasting makes anyone anxious, honestly, because it's like so many things can go wrong and 25% of the time it does. So I'm an anxious person too, so I get it.
Literally, like I remember Waymond is my co-host, by the way, on the Black and Animated podcast. Waymond and I we were recording an episode way back in our first season a couple years ago when we were I think we were talking about Craig of the Creek, because we have episodes where we interview professionals in the animation industry, and we also just have episodes where we just talk casually about animation, how it relates to Black culture, and we were just talking about Craig of the Creek, and I think we made it through the whole Craig of the Creek episode, and it just, like, the file just corrupted and we were really upset and we didn't record it for another 2 weeks or something because we were just really bummed out. We were like, okay. Like, we were mad because we had just talked very freely about how we felt and it was nice and it, like, flowed. And that happened a couple of times where, like, 30 minutes would go by and then it's like, it wasn't recording.
Yeah, it's the worst. And it always happens when it's like, that was like such a good episode. It was so perfect. And like, this is probably one of the best episodes we ever recorded. And it's like, and it didn't record. Great.
Yep. It's a podcast life can be a struggle, but you know, the more you do it, the more you get used to it. One of the podcast life struggles, though, that I feel like I perpetually have, that I'm getting anxious about right now because I can hear it in my headphones, is like, I wonder if my gain is too high. I don't know. It kind of sounds like it.
Yeah, well, you sound good to me, and you know, we have an editor who's great, and so they will do a great job in making this sound good either way.
Yes. But sorry, not to bore your listeners with a podcast.
No, good. You know, we gotta switch it up sometimes, but would like to get to the reason we're here. So the first question I typically ask every guest is, what is your first memory of watching Sailor Moon?
Oh man, my first memory of watching Sailor Moon back in 1945, when I was a young lad. No, I'm kidding.
That's how it feels.
407
in the
years
late
ago.
1900s.
Oh, geez. My first memory that I have is, it's a pretty wholesome one. So I am not from LA originally. I don't know how people live here. I'm kidding. Sorry. No, I like Los Angeles. It's fine. Most of the work is here. It's fine. Everything is fine. But I'm a Midwest baby. I am from Chicago originally. In the west suburbs, to be more specific. But, you know, as a Chicago person that's a transplant, it's just easier to say, I'm from Chicago. But then when you meet another Illinois person, then it's like, oh, they call you on your BS, and you're like, oh, well, now I gotta be specific because I'm not actually from Chicago because they'll get you. But when I was a young lass, just at my granny's house, I remember turning the TV on, or somebody turned the TV on. This is in the Midwest, in a town in Illinois, in the suburbs, and all of a sudden I just see this cartoon that looks way different than anything I had ever seen before, and I was just captivated by it. Like, and I vividly remember seeing and then, like, I didn't know who she was at the time, but I saw this girl with these buns in her hair twirling around doing some weird magical twist and turns, and I was like, wow, what is happening here? What is this? And another girl with like long blonde hair and a red bow in her hair, and there were stars floating around her. She was twirling around and she was wearing orange, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck is this? And immediately my baby brain just exploded because it didn't look like Bambi, because I really loved Bambi. It didn't look like Cinderella. Who were these people and why were they twirling? And it looked really cool. What was happening? And then when I got older, I think like second grade or first grade, I went to Catholic school. I'm not Catholic though, but I went to Catholic school. And we had an aftercare program where, back in the day when Toonami was after school, it wasn't just Saturday nights.
Yes.
Kids today don't know. They don't know the joys of going home or going after school, turning on TV, and there's Rurouni Kenshin or freaking He-Man or Goku and them just there, and it's like, oh snap. But also the Sailor Scouts, they were there too, and I was like, oh, that's the twirly girls that I saw. And I was just hooked ever since, and I learned that they were the Sailor Scouts, and this was Sailor Moon. And I have been obsessed since. I'm 28 years old now, and I still watch Sailor Moon to this day, all up in that Sailor Moon crystal, even though the first 2 seasons were a little visually.
Yeah.
Sweep
that under the rug.
and then like Toei was like, we're sorry, have season 3 animated by the Precure people. I'm like, oh, okay, you're forgiven.
Yep. And it was lovely.
Yeah, that's my long-winded first memory of Sailor Moon, just seeing these ladies spinning around. Well, they're children. But to my baby self, because long legs and like looking the way they did, I'm like, oh, they're adults.
These are grown people.
Yeah. But
honestly,
they're children.
Yeah. And it was kind of confusing for me, at least, because like Sailor Jupiter and Mercury seem to live alone. Like Jupiter definitely lives alone. And I'm like, are they adults? Like, what is going on? And it's just like, no, it's just...
You never see their parents except for Serena's. By the way, I'm gonna use the Deke names. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, guys.
You're all good. We accept all names, all Scout, Senshi, Usagi, Serena.
Usagi and Mamo-chan are cute, but I'm all about that meatball head and Serena. Sorry, guys.
Listen.
All about that meatball head.
If the Deke dub did anything right, it was coming up with meatball head, because that is such a good like translation of dumpling head. And I'm just like, y'all did that.
No, it was so good. And like like Stephanie Sheh and them did a really good job, with the Viz redub. Like that cast is 10 out of 10. Like they're really great. And but I don't know, I guess I don't get the same like warm feeling hearing Mamoru call her Bunhead. Does he call her Bunhead? Yeah, he calls her Bunhead. Mm-hmm. Instead of or hearing like Mamo instead of like Darien, Mm-hmm. But it's all right. The Eternal movies are so good. Wow.
They were so good. I was like so happily surprised, and I'm like really excited and anticipating the final season. And I'm really looking forward to that, because I'm like, okay, y'all finally got it. Like y'all are like on a roll now, and I feel like this is something that's gonna, like, the story's gonna be great. Like, it's one of my favorite seasons. Like, the animation's gonna be good. Like, y'all are getting better and better. Let's just hit this home run.
Yeah, I literally cannot wait. Oh man, like. And my boyfriend, he thinks Sailor Moon's a little silly, and I'm like, well, you know what? It is. It's fine. But he sat down and watched the Eternal movies with me, and he was like, this looks pretty good. This looks really good. And I'm like, yeah, it does.
Yeah, I feel like the first 2 seasons are definitely more like silly and like, which is like I said, it's fine. Like I love it. It makes me happy. I think season 3 and 4 is when you get, and 5 was when you get like a little more serious, and it's like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
anyone would definitely be a fan. But I have to ask, do you have any favorite like episodes or moments from watching the show?
I do. So from the 90s series, the classic series, one of my favorite episodes comes from the anime only season with Anne and Alan. The whole like
Yes.
return of Sailor Moon saga, like that's kind of where I became hyper aware of it, so I've just got a pretty big nostalgia and like I got a warm spot for that season even though like it's just kind of technically not canon, you know. Um and one of my favorite moments is that first episode when Serena gets her memories back, where she's like, oh my God, like I did all this stuff and I just want to be a normal teenager, but oh hey Luna, let's kick some butt. And it's a very like silly moment that I remember that is really fun to me, where it's like in the beginning of the episode where um like the meteor, no, is it not a meteor, it's like a weird plant flesh thing because it's like the
Oh
doom tree
yeah.
seed
Hmm.
that Anne and Alan come on, and then it creates this crater and everybody's outside watching it, just like looking at the hole because they're like, whoa, what happened in the neighborhood? And Serena's like, oh hey, like what are you doing out here rubbernecking? And she says that to Amy, and then like you see glimpses of Lita and just everybody outside, and it's I don't know, it's a really cute scene to me. It's a very cute scene, just sort of like reintroduce the girls and just see everybody again. I really like that. Um and also, sorry, another moment. I guess I have several
Good.
moments that I really
Yeah.
like.
You're in the right place.
I I really like the moment from again classic series from Super, where when she gets the cutie moonrod for the first time, when she's fighting against that like cat heart snatcher. I'm gonna call them heart snatchers.
Mm.
Instead of the
Yeah.
diamonds. She's fighting against that like weird like cat heart snatcher, which has a really cool design, by the way. There are a lot of like cool monster of the week designs in the old series, but there's some really
Yeah.
like goofy ones too.
Yeah.
But she gets the cutie moonrod, and Serena's just in her like, you know, Princess Serenity dress, and Darian's in his like Prince Darien outfit, and then they're holding it, and it's just a very cute romantic moment to me where they're both like holding the scepter, and I'm like, love.
Yeah. Love wins it all. Yeah.
Love wins. So
I
yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of moments I like in Sailor Moon.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. That means you're in the right place. I also love those moments. Especially like that one, like the Doomtree arc is one of my favorites, and I feel like it gets underrated. It's underrated because I love like that scene, like you mentioned, where they're all there, and it's kind of like SAGs. It's like, oh, they went through all this stuff together, and they don't even like really know each other anymore. And then you have
Mm-hmm.
Serena trying to figure out whether or not she should like tell them or let them like enjoy their lives.
Oh
Um,
yeah, when they're like auditioning for that movie thing, and then they all get
yeah.
captured, and Molly's there.
Yeah. Poor Molly.
Molly.
Yeah.
Why was she country? I don't know.
She's supposed to be from like Brooklyn, apparently.
Oh, I guess it is Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Actually, at the voice actress on the show, and she explained to me why she did the accent, and apparently in the Japanese version, Molly is supposed to be like country, or like she has like a southern accent or something, or like a different accent from everyone else because she's from like the countryside in Japan. So she was trying to give her a different accent in the dub. So she gave her
Oh,
like that
okay.
that New York, Brooklyn, New Jersey accent.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Hey, that's very thoughtful of them. I'm glad they did that then.
Yeah, it's still really funny because it's like, what is going on? Um, but yeah, and I just love like that end where it's like the Doom Tree needed love, and it's like twist. I feel like that was my first like plot twist in a show that like got me.
That's all the Doomtree needed was love. And
Yeah. And it's like y'all have been fueling it with all this hatred and doing all these horrible things, and it's like all this time it just needed love.
The Moonlight Knight being like Darian's will to just protect Serena was also a pretty wild twist to me. I was like, whoa, hold on a minute.
Thank you.
Because it's like a very obvious, you're like, oh no, like he clearly remembers, right? That's obviously him. And then it's like, no, this is just your weird like essence of like your love manifesting itself. Like, oh, okay, sure. That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, I love that too. And like my friend was watching it. This friend actually I was talking about, well, I did a podcast before this with Nerds on Hip Hop, Marcus, and he was like, "Is this his clone?" And I was like, "No." And he kept trying to guess who it was. And he was like, "I'm gonna be mad if it's his clone." I'm like, "Not a clone." And then he was like, "It was his clone." I was like, "No, it was a manifestation of his mind."
I mean, if you think about it, I guess it could technically be a clone. Technically,
I refuse to let him win. I'm like, no, it was a manifestation of his mind because he cared so much. But it's fine. We just have to agree to disagree.
We'll miss you. We'll miss you, Moonlight Knight.
Yeah, he was good. He was good. Also, we talked a little bit about Serena, but do you have a favorite Scout? Sailor Scout?
Oh man, I love me some Rei Hino.
Yes.
Like, baby me wanted to be Rei because she was really strong, really like assertive. She felt see, this is like, point of contention with like manga and Crystal and 90s series because like, Rei felt more like the leader than anybody else of the scouts.
Yeah.
And even though, that's supposed to be Mina's position, but like they kind of nerfed it in the 90s version. Like she didn't really get that actual leadership role that she's supposed to be having that Naoko intended.
Yep.
But I loved that about Rei. Like like baby me really loved that she just felt like she was a leader, and Rei seemed like she had everything together. She was kind of mean, but I think I was kind of projecting a little bit because because even though I loved Rei, I am actually very much like Serena in so many ways. I cry a lot. I am very, very much in love with my partner.
Yay!
Very, very much in love, and kind of a little like want to smooch him all the time, just like she does. And hey, I got D's in math. Math is hard, bro.
Math is hard.
I'm an art student. Math is important. Do math, like do it. STEM is important. Well, it's STEAM now because art is part of STEM.
I didn't hear that. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's really great, especially for like sorry, quick tangent. It's really good for like, especially if you're like an international student doing the arts, so that way you can like do work visa stuff because art is part of STEM now as STEAM, so that helps with like visas and all that jazz. I don't know everything about it, but it helps people like stay over here for like work stuff.
That's
for
awesome.
Visa things.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Thank you for that.
Of course. I've worked with some international people in my job, so I've learned a little bit more about the struggles of international workers over here, especially in animation. Because boy, let me tell you, it's rough. This country. There's a lot of talented people that are like not here in the U.S. and it's just like, hey, let them work. But our country is just kind of a butt sometimes. So systems have to change to kind of help them so they can stay here, so that our country's not as much of a butt. But that's a different conversation.
Sounds about right. Yep.
That's a different conversation.
Back to Sailor Mars.
Back to Sailor Mars, yes. So yeah, I was kind of projecting just because I was like, I guess I needed someone to kind of get on me like that. And like my best friend is very much like a combo of Rei and Sailor Jupiter and Lita, because like Lita was her favorite Sailor Scout. I even made an AMV for her birthday in high school of
Best
Lita.
friend ever.
And it made her cry.
Oh my gosh.
It I just like cut up scenes with Lita like fighting and stuff with Sailor Jupiter, and I used the song "Heart of Sword" by TM Revolution from Rurouni Kenshin.
I love that. That is like the best gift you can get anyone.
So yeah, little me really loved Rey, but I think I am very much accepting of the fact that I am not a Rey. I'm not a Sailor Mars. I am very much Sailor Moon. I'm very much Serena more so, and hey, that's okay, because I think I was just projecting that I didn't want to be a big crybaby, but sometimes it's okay to cry, and that's good.
Yeah.
You need to feel
Feel
feelings.
feelings is important, and it makes her powerful. So like,
It does.
that's important. Yeah, I feel you though. I am definitely Serena, but I also feel like I'm a little Sailor Mercury. I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, but also like math, not fun. But I do want to talk about you a little bit. We talked about, school and your feelings and things, but you're doing awesome things despite the anxiety and, overall stress of life. But yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a, depending on when you're listening to this, there's a panda out there. There's a
Oh
pandy.
yeah, still
going. It's not over.
Year 3.
Oh God, it is the year 3, man.
Yeah, I know. It makes me really sad. Like, I think back to myself in March 2020, and I was like, I was so optimistic. I was like, 1 month tops.
Yeah. Same. I had just started my job at Disney in March of 2020 actually. I got like my job offer to work on Proud Family at Disney TV Animation like end of February, like, so I had like 2 weeks before I started the first week of March, and that third week, before everything exploded, everybody at the office was like, oh, we'll be back, it's fine, because on Friday, that third week of March, they were like, yeah, we're gonna work from home for a little while and it'll be fine. And then Monday, like the day the fourth week started of March, they were like, working from home indefinitely. There were no plans to return. And everybody was like, what?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
This is life now, guys. This is life.
And I was so upset because actually, I interrupted your question. I started to tangent again.
I need to come up with like a slogan every time a tangent happens on the podcast, because I love tangents and I will like fall down any rabbit hole. I feel like I need to like start marking them with like a fun like sound, like tangent time. But, but you are right. To get us back on track, I wanted to ask you, how did Black and Animated come about?
Right. So, as was mentioned earlier, I am the co-founder of the organization Black and Animated and the co-host of its podcast, the Black and Animated podcast. And Black and Animated is, like my co-host and I, and co-founder, Wayman Singleton, he also works in the animation industry with me. He's a storyboard artist on The Ghost and Molly McGee. Check it out on Disney Channel. It's really good. And we both, we didn't know each other in college. We met after we both moved to LA around the same time at a Mixer event at Cartoon Network. And we both were being mentored by the same person, sort of separately at different times. We had a storyboard mentor named Chris Wimberly. He's a very good resource. He has a podcast as well, and he sometimes does workshops every now and then. So hey, if you want to be a board artist, definitely keep an eye out for workshops that Chris Wimberly puts out. Really great, talented Black director in the industry. And Chris, through his organization and mentorship group, he was hosting a Mixer at Cartoon Network. Wayman and I met there. We started talking, and then there's an event that we don't really go to anymore. But the Creative Talent Network Expo, or CTN for short, it's basically, think Comic-Con but for animation, or like, GDCs for games, but CTN is for animation. Although there are other alternatives now that are just as good. There's a Lightbox Expo that happens in Pasadena that people should definitely check out. Really good.
Expo.
Very good.
Writing that down.
Yep. It's really good animation convention. Really great. But we met up at CTN, sort of talking about how, like, we're thinking about, like, where are all of, like, the Black people working in animation, because we couldn't really think of anybody. Like, you could count on your hand how many people there were, at least in, like, the limelight. Because, this isn't a diss against them, but, like, you hear so much about, like, Glenn Keane, or I don't know, you hear about, like, the 9 Old Men, like Mark Davis and those guys, and they're all very talented people, but representation is important. And as Black people that were in college doing animation and trying to pursue it as a career, and separately, mind you, like, I'm in Chicago in college, Wayman's in New York, and we're both having the same thought of, like, is this something that I can do? The old folks that are Black in animation, like, we can't even think of any besides Floyd Norman, who is one of the last people to work directly with Walt Disney. He's still around, he's still kicking. Sometimes you run into him in Burbank, just talking, just an old Black dude who worked with Walt. He's very nice. And then there's the showrunner I work with currently on Proud Family, Bruce W. Smith. So it's like, who else is there? And we thought, well, there are Black people that are working in this industry. Maybe we should just try and find them and highlight them, so that way folks who are in college, like we were, can find that inspiration and find that, like, representation, so they can feel like they're not alone and they can do this. So Wayman and I got together and decided to, like, plan out, like, how are we going to make a podcast? How do we reach out to people? Because I, at the time, didn't have a job in animation. I was working in graphic design, just trying to, like, make money out here while I hustled for animation work on the side, because it's expensive in LA, guys.
Cheers.
It's expensive. It's so expensive. And Wayman was still maybe a couple months fresh into his first industry job at a studio called Oddbot that's out here. They do some, like, preschool stuff sometimes, and, like, commercials. So we were both very green and very nervous to hit people up, but one of our first guests was someone who had been in the field for a very long time, Dan Haskett, who, he worked on Little Mermaid, was the designer for Ariel, and he worked on Scooby-Doo, just a legend in the industry. Worked on Simpsons and everything. Like, he's been around for a minute. And then, after interviewing him, and then another a production manager at Oddbot, Brittany Lee, we were kind of like, what, let's try to stop being nervous, and these people are here, we can do this, and we're going to provide this for folks. We really want people to feel represented, to see folks that that are veterans, that are green, that are in the middle of their career, and to just know that Black people make cartoons too. We're out here. And it's reached a bunch of folks. Like, we had a young woman who is now, well on her way into her career now. She emailed us one year saying that the podcast inspired her to apply to the Nickelodeon Artist Program and to finally put herself out there a bit more. And then she got into the program, and now she's been working on lots of, like, cool action shows as a board artist now, and as a revisionist, and she's working over at Marvel Animation. Like, it's really great, just as an example.
That is awesome. And it's so true. I feel like, for me included, like, I don't know how many Black people are in animation, and if I wanted, like, I don't know how many Black people are in animation. I also don't know, like, how many different animation jobs there are.
There's
where it's
so
like, okay,
many.
like, yeah, because I feel like people, like, animator, like, you animate what happens, but it's like you have the background artist, a storyboard artist, like, revision art and like all these other things. And I know there's more, and I feel like this was such a great resource for people, not just for people one against animation, but people like me, where I'm like, I just want to learn more. Like, what is happening?
Exactly, because like,
Mm-hmm.
you can be a big fan of animation, and maybe your art isn't the greatest, but you don't have to do art to be part of the animation production pipeline. Like, my current job is a production coordinator. I'm not doing art for that. Like, I eventually want to transition to being a storyboard artist, which is storyboard and character design. Those are like the only two things, and maybe an animator, that the only two things people know that you do. But if you're like into accounting or production management, like there's like finance jobs in animation studios. There's again, like what I'm doing, like production coordinating, production managing, line producing. Like, those are all jobs that you can do. If you're an editor, like, you sit at home making AMVs all days, or like fan cams, you can use that those editing skills to be an editor on a show, or be a technical director if you like to work in After Effects or Toon Boom Harmony. There's so many jobs that are available. Heck, you like being a lawyer? uh at animation studios, we need people who are in the legal division to like close the deals for artists, or for like close the deals for people trying to, pitch shows and things like that. There's so many ways to be involved within the pipeline. Like, you can't even imagine. There's so many facets that we need more people of color, and we need more Black people at all these levels in order to get these different stories made.
Yeah, that's so important too. Like we said, like it's not just being in like the arts, but like in like the executive positions, or like being a lawyer. And I'm sure it's helpful if you're a fan of animation, or or if you even know, like if you put together an AMV, you probably have more of an understanding of like what's being done than
Mm-hmm.
someone else who doesn't have that experience, or isn't familiar with the work.
Yep. And all it takes is like, um who was it I was watching, or I don't remember like what video, or like if it was a tweet or something, but Dan Olson, he is the creator behind the YouTube channel Folding Ideas, and he's like an editor by trade, like professionally. But there's a lot of people that are editors for like YouTubers online, right? And that is a job, but a lot of those folks haven't exactly applied those skills to like working in a professional, like, like on a movie or on a piece of animation, like that type of editing work. But I find that, if you are an editor for someone who is like a content creator, you can take those skills and like, massage that a little bit and apply that to working in animation as an animatic editor, a picture editor, a technical director. Like, you can use the skills that you have in order to be part of the creative process. And I think that's so important for Black people, specifically just because, like, our audience, we're trying to reach Black folks that are into animation, because there's so many Black weebs out there, man. You and I right now, we're talking. There's so many Black weebs out there that want to make
Yes.
like anime or be part of animation. And
Yeah.
there's so many cartoons that are made over here in the West that require skills for people that draw in anime style. Your art teacher told you don't draw anime? Don't like, no, ignore that.
Absolutely.
Yes, get those fundamental skills so you can know how to do anatomy and everything. Get those fundamentals, but don't stop drawing your anime. There's something in development probably somewhere right now, because anime is all over the place, and all of the people that loved anime, that are big weebs growing up, are making shows now. You take those anime skills and you can get yourself a job on the next, I don't know, the next cool anime thing that's coming out that's made over here in the US. Like,
Yes.
sorry to go on my soapbox a little bit, but like, it's just, there's just so many jobs, and we need we need people of color at every level of the pipeline to get these wonderful stories being told.
I completely agree. And speaking of like wonderful stories, what would you say is your favorite Black animated series or Black led animated series?
Oh man. My favorite black led animated series. Well, it's tough because there's not a whole lot of them.
I know. I was thinking, I was like going through a few in my mind, and I was like, I got like five.
I well, I guess actually created by black people.
Oh, I wasn't
I
even gonna
guess
go.
on
Oh, go ahead. I was
I guess like a,
I'm like, are
a
there
show that's
enough?
actually created, yeah, one that's actually made by black people. I would say probably would be the Boon. No, is it the Boondocks or is it? It's either Boondocks or Proud Family because I think they both sort of permeated. Um, they both permeated kind of a quote unquote normie space, I guess, for viewership. And I mean normie in the sense of like somebody who doesn't necessarily watch cartoons all the time, but your black grandma was watching Proud Family with you, Like she was watching that with you. Or
Yeah, I can see that.
your mom doesn't watch cartoons all the time, but she thought that Huey and Riley were hilarious. So
Yeah.
I'd say a mix of like I guess like both of them would be my favorite. But in terms of like a show that is because I feel like I have to categorize it because just because how stuff is made. But in terms of how like a show that is not show run by black people but has a lot of black talent on the team, I would say my favorite of that would be um currently I would say uh that would be Craig of the Creek. Craig of the Creek is
Hmm.
not create was not created by black people as showrunners, but uh Craig of the Creek is, the head writer, Jeff Tremel's like a wonderful person, and he along with so many of the board artists who are black because I believe that show is board driven, so it's like outlined by the writers, but also like the flavor of the writing is from the board artists themselves is what a board driven show means. So like their board artists are kind of writing too. um that show has so many like very things that are unique to the black experience that I think are really wonderful to see, especially because Craig of the Creek falls into that kids just being kids.
Yeah.
uh you don't see a lot of that with black children just like thriving, and different types of black kids. Like in that show there's so many different types of black children or children of color period that are just doing different things, and it's normal and it's fine. There's no like black struggle like undertone within it. It's just all very wholesome.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
Um, and a preschool thing that I think is really fun is Ada Twist Scientist, which just recently came
Ooh.
out.
I feel like I've heard that. It's like a PBS show.
It's on Netflix actually, but
Oh.
it's based off of books, and it is EP'd by the lady who is in charge was in charge of Doc McStuffins, but is showrun by a writer I worked with actually on my first show that I was a production assistant on, Mira, Carrie Grant, very wonderful black woman, is the showrunner of that
Great,
show.
great. Cool. I just looked it up. It looks so good. Yeah, I have seen these books. Haven't seen the
Cool.
show. Also, big fan of Craig of the Creek. Like Jessica is. I love Jessica so much. She
Oh,
is.
Jessica is
I
amazing.
am so excited for her spinoff. Like it is ridiculous. She's so funny. And of course, Sparkle Cadet is like great.
No one can dull her sparkle.
No one.
I have a
Oh,
little
I
print
love
of
it.
Sparkle Cadet in the living room, and it's just so precious. Like when I saw her, I'm like, oh, thank God, we need more black magical girls. I want to see more of this.
Yeah. It made me so happy. I was like, thank you to everyone who did this. And yeah, it was just great. It was great. I feel like it's like the first canon black magical girl,
I think so, yeah. And
like
like
on a animated at least.
I'm trying to think, doesn't yeah, I think so, like an actual black girl, cuz I feel like I saw something floating around that Precure had a black girl that was a magical black girl recently, but I don't know if she was actually black or, we just kind of claimed
Right.
her because we have slim pickings and we do that.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That's why I was kind of hesitated for a bit, but I wasn't sure. Like, is she black or is she just tan? Like,
Right.
and we're just like close enough because we don't have much, like you said. I have to look into that because maybe she actually is black, and that'll make me really happy. But yeah, so that's cool. So yeah, I love all of those shows. I totally feel you, and I'm so happy you mentioned the Proud Family because that's where I was gonna go next. Um, how does it feel to work on the new Proud Family show after being a fan of the original?
It feels kind of like a dream. Oh man, like I I it was really weird. Like I didn't expect to be on a show that I grew up watching, or like a continuation slash reboot of a show that I grew up watching as a child. And I never expected to actually meet and work with an animator who I admired a lot um in college. Like I did not expect it. And because the thing is like, it's like I said before, like Proud Family really permeated just a lot of like the general black like zeitgeist. Like if you were black, you, even if you didn't watch it, you knew what Proud Family was. It was in line with like that era of black sitcom with like Moesha, the Parkers, Half and Half, One on One. Like those were on all the time in the house, but like Proud Family like was also around and on, and like you knew about it. Just like with the Boondocks. And I think that's why it was so special. Like and don't get me wrong, like a lot of that stuff, because it's 2021, like we get older, we get wiser, and we become more aware of things that are problematic, or things that like tropes and things that should be fixed, or discussed and analyzed. So like not everything within like that era of black sitcoms is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But there is just you never saw an animated black family before. Like you didn't really see it. And on Disney Channel, and some of the things they
Right.
talked about, it was like like you always saw a token black friend, but you never saw a token white friend before. like
Right. So
like nobody did that.
true. Oh my gosh.
And we love Zoe, but nobody did that
Yeah.
before.
And there usually is like at least one white person in every black group, or sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was like very accurate to a degree. And yeah, you're right. And everyone like, yeah, you said like loved her. Like it was like, oh yeah, she's part of the crew. Like she plays her role.
Yeah, Zoe
And
was accepted. She was part of the crew. She was one of the
yeah.
friends, everything.
And she never tried
And
to like quote unquote be black.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels, and working at Disney period kind of was never really the goal, to be honest. Like I had always wanted to work at like Warner Brothers and Titmouse were always kind of my dream places to work
Yeah.
when I got to college.
Could still go,
Because
eventually in the
I'm a
future.
really big.
Mhm.
Hmm?
I'm like, it still happen in the future.
It still can. Like that's part of the business,
Mm-hmm.
is like kind of hopping around from place to place, unless you want to stay at some place and just not move, and they'll just put you on something else. But that's the nature of the biz over here. Like you pop around. But like working at Warner Brothers was a dream because I love superheroes. I love DC, and I think that kind of liking Sailor Moon, liking superheroes, like on like a team, like the whole team aesthetic really gets me. So that's why like I love those types of stories. So like Justice League appeals to me more so than the DC heroes on their own. So, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that came from Sailor Moon, like me liking that ensemble cast, like working as a team.
I also love teams. I love a good team up moment. Like Avengers Endgame was everything to me.
10 out of 10.
Absolutely.
um but yeah, like working at Disney and working on Proud Family is just, it's really crazy, and I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just that like I didn't expect it, and I'm just very thankful and feel pretty blessed, like to, and it's not really about the Disney prestige. Like I don't really care about that aspect of it. Well, I don't know. It's weird. It's like I do and I don't, because Disney's a corporation, but also big part of my life. Because I love those films, but it's the fact that I'm working on a piece of media that means a lot to me, because of its content. Like that's the most important part to me. Like, and I think that's important for a lot of people who are trying to get into animation. I think that they should remember that like, not everything you work on is going to be a banger. Sometimes a job's a job and you're just trying to pay the bills. But sometimes, like, you shouldn't worry about like the prestige name of like, I work at Disney, I work at Nickelodeon. It's not really about those name brand things. It's about, are you working on something that's meaningful to you? And I think that's what's more important. And so that's why like working on Proud Family means so much to me, because of its importance to my childhood, and because I get to be a part of helping create just one of many things for Black kids to watch. Proud Family is not the end all be all, but it's just one of many Black stories that are out there. And I think that's so important, that there's just different types of ways Black people can be, whether it's sitcom, whether it's adventure, whether it's like, in a fantasy setting. Give me like, or magical, like Sparkle Cadet exists, Penny can exist. I'm excited for Moon Girl when that drops from Disney with Marvel.
Same.
Like it's gonna be good. Or even like, seeing a mixed Black and Asian girl, Kipo, or her friend like Wolf. Like Wolf is, oh, I love her. I love Wolf. I love her hair. Like it's
Same.
great. Like I love her. She's great. Or Benson, like wonderful.
Yeah,
There's
it's so
sorry, I
many.
keep going off on tangents about cartoons because
It's
I love animation so much.
I do too. It makes me so happy. Like I love it. What does your day to day look like as a production coordinator?
My day to day is very much people moving, people managing, and it depends too on which part of the pipeline I'm in. So you can do post coordinating or pre-production coordinating, and uh, the pre-production process is basically like, when you're dealing with animation, you have pre-pro and then you have post, and then you also have development before that. But I'm not going to talk about development. So pre-pro basically is like the writing, and then it goes to the storyboarding, and then it goes to the editing. But simultaneously, while that's happening, the designing is happening, and then you ship it off to overseas or your your offsite vendor, because animation is not done here in America. For all people who don't know, if you want to be an animator, you got to go to Canada or the Philippines or Mexico, or
Interesting.
just anywhere that's not in the US.
That's
Well,
fun.
or you can do retake animation like on Toon Boom Harmony. But some studios
Mm.
like Titmouse do some animation in house. Um, it's either on Animate or it's in Toon Boom. So yeah, if you want to be an animator, just make sure you're aware that a lot of like actual animation for TV is not done here. Uh,
Really
only
good to
lot,
know.
yeah, only feature studios. Like if you work at DreamWorks Feature, you work at Disney Feature, they're doing animation here. TV is not really doing that. It's all pre-production, just the writing, the design, the audio, the storyboarding, the editing, and me as the production coordinator, I kind of have to make sure all this stuff happens at the right time so I can package it all up and then go get animated, and then it comes back with like your first pass of animation, and then you do retakes. And then as a post coordinator, I have to make sure all of that stuff happens in the right order, where like we give the studio notes like, fix this, fix that, fix this. Or we give our technical directors notes to be like, fix that, fix this. And then package that up with the editors, and then the editors give it to the finalization people, the nebulous people that I don't know, and they put it in like some weird place to go on air, and then it goes on TV for your viewer to watch. So that's kind of a quick down and dirty version of what a coordinator does. Just basically make sure a bunch of things happen, and scheduling.
Yeah. Nice. That makes sense. And if each Proud Family cast had a favorite, or maybe just Penny's family. I don't know. I want to ask, like, if they had their favorite senshi, who do you think they'd be? Like, realizing there's a lot of Proud Family characters.
There are. I haven't thought about everybody, but I think that
Okay. You guys give me your top 3.
I believe that I'm pretty sure that Trudy would probably like Sailor Mercury a lot, because
Yes.
they're both very organized and well put together folks, and like, they try to like be the voice of reason, and they're like the smartest between like, their groups. So I think Trudy would very much like Amy.
Definitely.
I feel like because of Penny's personality, I think that she might like it's weird, like I feel like she might like Serena, but I also think she might like a combo of Serena and Ray. But it's weird because I feel like I feel like La Cienega might like Ray, and then Penny and La Cienega would probably fight over it.
Yes.
I think they would fight over it.
Definitely.
And I know that not much is out about her yet, but as like a fun little thing, I feel like Maya, Keke Palmer's character, who when Louder and Prouder drops, you guys will get to see more of her. I feel like Maya would very much enjoy Haruka. So I think,
Ooh. Okay.
yeah, I think Maya would very much want to like dress up as, and like think Sailor Uranus is really cool.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. I thought you were going to say Jupiter, because I could see Keke Palmer liking Jupiter. Not that they're the same. She's the same as her characters, but was not expecting Uranus. That's really cool. I'm excited to meet this character. Do you have any advice for someone who wants to become a production coordinator?
I would say really the best advice I could give someone who would want to get into production for animation as a coordinator, or even as a PA, because that's where you would start. You would start as a PA first, and then move up to a coordinator, unless you've got super bomb skills and you just jump into coordinating. I would say, yeah, you never know. So I've seen it happen before. Some people just shoot right to coordinator, and I'm like, dang, look at you. This is great. But I would say that, having really good organizational skills are a must, because you, as production, you are the backbone of the entire show. Like your production team, like your line producer, the production manager, the supervisor, the coordinators, the PAs. Like a lot of people don't realize it, but it's not just the folks that are the animators in basic terms. Like, it's not just our creative counterparts that are the only ones doing the work. And we're all a team. We're all in this together. It's the artists that are doing work, and it's also your production team, which is helping them stay on task and getting their assignments done. Because without production, like, nothing would get made, nothing would happen on time. And I think it's so important for someone going into production to want to have that drive, to want to learn about the pipeline, to learn how things are made, and to be a good team player, and just be willing and ready to assist when necessary, and also just have an interest animation period, because I know I said like I separated us into production and creative, but your job as a production person, it is creative. You're working on a creative thing. You're being creative in an organizational way by helping people be on task. So yeah, that's a long-winded way of me saying good advice is to just be organized and, I don't know, just have that drive. I know it's very generic, but it's a job that I think you're capable of if you have the passion for it and you have the drive to wanting to be part of a team and making something like creative happen.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, this is very long-winded, but
no.
kind of generic way to explain it, because I could go into like the nitty-gritty, but
I think that's
that wouldn't
good
be.
because you captured the essence of what you need and like what you need to have. Like before you like do like the work, like you need to come with this spirit, and I feel like that's important. And I
Yeah.
love how you're like, you work with a team, and you were talking earlier about how you love teams. I love teams too. Like working on a team, watching teams, people banding together to get through a goal. Like it's fun stuff.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Actually, I think I might want to amend what I said before.
Okay.
I think about like favorite Sailor Scouts. I think Maya would like Jupiter a lot. And I think
Ooh,
Michael would be very into Uranus.
I could see that.
Michael
Yeah.
Michael Collins. There you go.
Yeah. I could totally see that. Cool. Thank you.
I feel like I tangented so much about animation like as a whole instead of more Sailor Moon stuff. I'm so sorry.
No, it's supposed to be a balance of Sailor Moon things and you, so that is totally fine. And also, we're going to end with a very Sailor Moon thing, which is, just like Sailor Moon has a Sailor Moon says phrase at the end of every episode. What would your phrase be? So, Sailor Breana says.
Oh geez. Sailor Breana says words.
Words are
I
important.
say words. What does Sailor Bree say? God dang it. See, I should have thought about it a bit more in depth. And I told myself at the beginning, I was like, yeah, I'm going to think about this. This is going to be great. And then now I'm here. I'm like, oh no.
It sneaks up on every guess, and I feel so bad.
Sailor Bree says, I'm like looking at my pin board right now of like all my Sailor Moon pins.
Ooh, yeah, just draw inspiration.
to try to get
Yeah.
inspiration. Oh
Some previous ones have been like punch fear in the face or man, I'm forgetting them now.
Oh, here we go. Sailor Bree says, anyone can be creative. All you have to do is let that creativity shine.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
perfect. So we were just talking about
Yeah.
Sparkle Cadet and how no one can dull her shine, and you were saying don't let anyone dull your creative shine.
Literally, you can be creative in any way you want, and like I don't know. I just think it ties back into what I said before about how like, there are so many things that someone can do to be involved with animation. Like, I mean, to tie it to Sailor Moon a little bit, like how do you think like Sailor Moon gets made? There's so many people that are on that team. Like Sailor Moon has production managers. Sailor Moon has cleanup animators, people that do what's the phrase called? The doga, I believe. I don't want to misquote it. But they do like the main cuts. They do the
Ooh.
keyframes. So that's like a separate job. And then they have like, the people that are doing audio, cutting the animation together and like editing. And because it's the digital age, there are people that I know that have worked on Sailor Moon that are over here in the US on like smaller like marketing projects. Like you can be involved in any way possible. If you want to be part of animation, there is a way for you to do it no matter what. Like you can, and I believe you. And if you are a person of color listening to this podcast, like, Serena always had like the support of her friends and she was able to conquer anything. And I feel that you can conquer anything as well. If animation is your passion, you can do it. You can get in there.
I completely agree. And if you are listening to this and you have any power to get me on anything Sailor Moon, email me. Like, I will literally production assistant of the production assistant, wipe the tables down, get the coffee. Just let me be in the room. I'll be there. And for you, Brie, what is next for you, and where can people find you?
So what's next for me? I guess, like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to work on a. I have a couple of pitch ideas that I'm trying to just work on the side right now. Because one of the perks of being in animation, again, no matter like what job you have the opportunity to pitch at a studio that you work at, and I'm hoping to, by the end of the year, if at all possible, to pitch a TV series idea that I've had like rumbling in my head for a little while, and then to also just get another idea at least started, because it's good to have like a couple ideas, and I've got a couple, and one of them's a little more solid than the others right now. So that's kind of what I'm in the process of doing, and also trying to transition out of production, because being on the artist side is where my passion lies. I'm trying to transition out of production coordinating into storyboarding. So I'm looking for storyboard revisionist positions, just with like within the company or even like elsewhere, just to see like, just to see that I am capable of doing this job. And yeah, because I like drawing. It's nice to help out like my team get their, meet their deadlines and to make sure that the show happens. But I'd very much like to draw as well. And oh right.
Yeah.
Where can you find me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Forget about that part. You can find me in a couple places. You can find me on Twitter at Breanimator. See, I thought that Twitter handle was really clever in college, because I was like, wow, I'm gonna be an animator.
I mean, it's still gonna happen. No. You're getting towards the art side,
It is, but I'm not about to animate.
Okay,
though. Well, I don't like animating.
All right, okay, never mind then. Never mind.
Yeah, storyboarding, give me that. Animating, no, thank you. I don't want to do that.
Fair.
It's a lot. Mm-hmm. I know how to do it, but I don't want to do that for 40 hours.
Makes sense. It's a labor of love.
Yeah, so that's at Breanimator on Twitter, or you can find me on Instagram at Breanimator, but spelled with I think 2 A's, because there's an at Breanimator already on Instagram who is not me. I think this is the second time I've said this on a podcast. Now, one of these days, that Breanimator is going to listen and be like, oh, dang, I'm sorry.
I didn't know.
I'm sorry she sounds so salty. And like, maybe I'm a little salty, but hey, you got it first. It's fine.
Listen, I'm salty about the person who has Sailor Victoria on Instagram, because I'm like, just switch yours so I can switch mine. But it's fine. I mean, not Instagram, on Twitter. When I Sailor Victoria on Twitter, and they don't even use their account. But that's neither here nor there.
All right, time. Let's we're gonna have a little chat with Sailor Victoria.
Yeah, right. Chat with them. Some old keyboard warriors, but no, I'm joking.
So yeah, that's where you can find me, at Insta and Twitter. And oh yeah, my portfolio is BreanaWilliams.com. If you want to see my storyboarding work. And yeah, if you have a project and you need a freelance storyboard artist, I'm available. So yeah, let me know.
Yes, definitely hit her up. Stuff looks awesome. I'm super excited. I feel like everyone who comes on this podcast always talks about what they want to do next, and it happens. So I know it's going to happen for you too, because manifestation and Sailor Moon just go hand in hand. Yeah. Heck yeah. But once again, I am Victoria L. Johnson, host of the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast, and you can find me at It's Old School on Twitter and Instagram. That's Old School with a K. And you can find me on the podcast at Moonies Club on Twitter and Moonies_Club on Instagram. Also an issue with someone having Moonies Club. But and we also have merch at mooniesclub.com if you want to check that out. And I'm on TikTok at Sailor Victoria. And thanks, Breana, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, for real, I feel very honored to just be one of your guests, and it's always so nice to just like I don't get to yell about Sailor Moon often with other black
Mhm.
folks and or just yell about anime and video games in general with other black people. So it's always a treat when that happens, and it just feels so good to be like, your black nerdy self about anime and Sailor Moon and video games. It just feels so good. Just feels so good to do that.
I completely agree. And you are also amazing. I'm so happy you said yes to coming on this show because I am such a fan. And you're doing such dope stuff. And I look forward to seeing what you have next. Like you talk about these stories in your head, and I'm like, I want to know, but I know you can't say. So I will just be looking out on all your socials and just stalking you, low key.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, and bye, Moonies.
Bye, guys.